Getting older can sometimes suck, and getting older in the age of social media definitely sucks. If you're tired of people telling you to age gracefully, then you're in the right place. This is all about living your best life at any age. First rule, don't call me ma'am. Hey everyone, I'm Jodi Miller, and this is Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't call me ma'am. And don't call my next guest ma'am, especially because she's younger than me, so she's definitely a miss. She's a comedian, producer, writer. She has her own podcast, The Funny Thing Is, which I did. You have to check out my episode as well. And she has a new comedy special on Amazon called Mama Drama, and don't I know it, start clapping right now. And by that I mean pull over to the side of the road if you're driving. We don't want to get in an accident. For Nicole Burch.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, we're both moms, so we really don't have much to say. That was our time. Thanks, guys.
That was it. We're busy. We gotta go.
Mama Drama. So first of all, tell me about the special.
So it's pretty much like a 5-year storytelling, right? So
The special's 5 years long.
it's 5 years long. You do have to sit through that.
Get ready, guys.
And no commercial breaks.
No, but just bring a porta potty, which we're going to talk about that.
We are going to get to that. Yeah, so it talks about how I got pregnant from a one-night stand with a friend. Fun, super fun. And which camera should I look at? I don't even. Anyway.
Just look at me.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So it's how I got pregnant from a one-night stand with a friend, and then it goes into being pregnant, having the baby, a really rough delivery, parenthood, and then co-parenting, and then how I met my now husband,
Right.
and kind of dating as a single mom and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
I know it. I actually went on a date last night.
How was it?
It was okay.
Yeah. Is there going to be a second?
I don't think so. I'm saying that in case he's watching this.
It's awful. I mean, dating as a
It's
parent.
really terrible as a parent. What's funny about that as a single parent, as you know, and
Yeah.
I'm a single parent, is when they're like, especially if they have kids, and they're like, so when are you child free? I'm like, never.
Yeah.
Do you want to babysit? And then I can go get a massage?
Yeah.
That's the kind of date I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Is where
And
you're
I was
just
also
my
like at
babysitter.
$20-$25 an hour. Like
a lot.
this, if I'm going to do a second date, better be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I better be getting really fed
Have
one
you-
way or the other.
Have your standards, like how are they different between before and after?
They're the same. I don't
Are
even
they?
know. I actually, when I was on the date last night, I'm like, do I even want to be dating? I don't even know. That's the thing. Like, you have to like really think about it. Like, when you met your now husband,
Yeah.
were you in that mindset
No,
to date?
no.
As
It
a
was
single
after.
mom?
It was so cliche. It was after a show in Dallas, and I met him.
Oh,
but
everybody meets somebody after
after a
in
show,
Dallas.
right? Everybody meets somebody, and then, but I had been friends with his sister for like a decade,
Right, I remember
And
you
so
said that.
she brought him to one of my shows, and so I was like, okay, at least I kind of know family wise, and I thought it was going to be. He's younger than me, so I thought it was going to be how Stella got her groove back.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't had sex in 3 years.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you, sister.
Yeah. So I was like, let's,
Did you have
dust
sex
it.
that night?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, that breaks the whole like belief that you should never have sex with someone on the first date.
Oh, yeah. Totally blew that out of the water.
But were you
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna fuck him and I'll probably never see him again? Or
Yeah.
were you, okay, so that's what you thought.
Well, especially when I found out how young he was. He's 13 years younger than me.
Love it.
Yeah. Have you met him? Because he does not.
haven't.
He does not look 13. He looks like he's my age. I mean.
Do you tell him that?
Oh yeah, he's like a 5'9" ginger with a dad bod. Like he's going bald. Do you know what I mean? Like he. Like
I'm definitely in the cougar lane. I mean, I was in the past, and yeah, they do not look like they don't look my age. They definitely look younger.
Oh
Like,
you talked about a 27-year-old, and that's
Yeah.
mine was 27 when we met.
Right.
And I was like, he does not. I mean, he has hip issues and hemorrhoids. Like he's ready for his AARP card. Do you know what I mean? Like it's.
So that's what made you fuck him on the first date? You were like, hemorrhoids, let's go.
Let's do. There was something. You know what?
He's like, not in that position. That hurts.
Yeah, you got to get off. Not on top. Not on top. My therapist said, I go because I've always been attracted to like, actors / not real models, but actors who do like print work.
Models that are bartenders.
Yeah.
Models that are like, yeah.
Yeah. Like an Ohio 8. Like that's
Yeah.
like been my thing. And so that's what I've been attracted to. And he did not fit that. And I remember talking to my therapist and she was like, well, perhaps he looks like what stability now feels like for you.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? I was like, but I wanted Henry Cavill. Now I'm going to end up with Ron Weasley?
I want Henry too. Although,
Dude, Henry. Oh, my.
he just had a baby.
I know.
Could have been mine.
I even know the gender? I don't know. They're not telling anything about that baby, and it used to
It could
drive
change
me
at any moment.
That's
We don't know.
true. I know.
Well, speaking of, that's a good segue into, we both have girls.
Yes.
And does your much younger husband want more kids?
No, I think we kind of talked about this
Yeah,
on
we
mine.
did.
I think we're past that now.
Past it now.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
Good. But again, I have, I got an autoimmune disease from the delivery. I have an old achy body. I feel 60 years old. If I could fix that,
Right.
I definitely have another one.
Right. Okay.
And also he's got the energy to raise it,
Yeah.
So,
Listen.
I don't know if it accidentally happened. I don't think it's possible. But if it accidentally happened, we'd be okay about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Now he knows.
Would you have another one?
No, I mean, physically I can't, but would I adopt another one? No.
Yeah.
Not definitely too late in the game. Although I was reading that Kristen Davis adopted her first when she was 46 and adopted her second when she was 53. Which is really,
Wow.
I mean, that would make me so nervous. I'm already like, oh my God, what if I die tomorrow?
Yeah, but you also have so much energy.
I do.
Yeah, which is great.
I mean, you have a lot of energy too.
For this, I'm going to sleep right after this.
Okay, good,
This
that's
is
fine.
like all my energy for the day.
Put it all in here. Well, I mean, having little girls takes it out of you. We were talking a little bit about this. I think it's interesting because all my friends now are having boys. And boy energy and girl energy are completely different.
Right.
But I'm really happy that I have a girl, but I'm also really terrified because I see what we go through just with social media and expectations, just getting older.
Yeah.
We live in Hollywood, so that's definitely
There's a
place.
microscope. Yeah.
Absolutely. But anywhere in the world, you know what I mean? Like getting older just in general, I remember being at a therapist's office and there were pamphlets about like struggling with getting older. I'm like, who's struggling with getting older? Like, what is
Yeah.
this? And it was like a woman like looking sad on the flyer. Like, she's like, I'm getting older. I'm like, what's this about? Like,
Yeah.
throw that away. And now I'm like, where's that pamphlet?
I need
I'm
it.
struggling
I need
with
it.
getting older.
Yeah, I'm from like a long line of like really strong matriarchs, and they've always embraced age, and so I've always like really celebrated every year.
Right.
But now my body, I mean, my daughter just told me,
What'd she say?
she said I needed to start working out. A 5-year-old goes, "Hey, have you ever worked out?" And I go, "Yeah. Before you, I was hiking 3 days a week and doing Pilates and doing, I don't know if you remember, it was really hot in West Hollywood for a little bit called Rise, where it was just mountain climbing.
No.
It was like Jake Gyllenhaal's. It was awful, but it was like the best workout.
I'm sure.
And I was like, yeah, no, I used to work out all the time. And then you broke every part of my body. And so I do
you
need
take
it.
that when you told
It was really good. It was really good. I'm already paying for a therapy. No, I was like, yeah, we can start doing yoga together. We can start doing that stuff. But I'm like, we're in the transition where we're like moving and trying to get things situated. And I was like, once I do that, then I'll get back. But when your 5-year-old's like, maybe you should stretch more, you're like, oh my God, I must be getting older. Like, this is terrible.
Well, I'm really nervous that my daughter's core memory of her mom is that she has to pee all the time. All the time. Like, because that's a core memory for me with my mom. And I get it now. My mom would always be like, let me just go to the bathroom. I need to find a bathroom.
Yeah.
Where's the nearest bathroom?
Right.
I'm like, bitch, what's going on with
Right.
the bathroom situation? And now I peed just right in this chair. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But just talking about it makes me like want to go.
No.
And also my body is like, I just always have to go.
Yeah, not to out my mom, but she was just here this past week. And we're sharing, we're in a small space, and she probably got up 3 times in the middle of the night. And I'm like, oh, that's my future. Because I follow her lead pretty much. Like, we both have issues with our knees and stuff. And so I'm like, oh, that's coming. That's on the pipeline, man.
I get up definitely once, but usually twice, which is interesting because the second time is usually like an hour after the first. It's bizarre.
Oh, that's so
You
weird.
were just
yeah.
talking about that you're supposed to let your bladder get really full and then empty a full bladder. People, did you know that?
Yeah, there's a woman that talks about it on Instagram, and she's great, and she's helping people with incontinence. And she's like, it's not normal. It's not supposed to be normal. You want to make sure. Oh, and you want to make sure how you know it's a full bladder is while you're peeing, you do 10 Mississippis.
I thought you were going to say, while you're like, hallelujah. This feels so good.
This is amazing.
That's how you know it's like a full water when you're like crying as it's like water falling out of you.
Just a gush.
Like 10 Mississippis?
Yeah, she said, and I've
That's aggressive. Who is being for 10 full Mississippis?
I know. I will say the first one in the morning for me is 10 Mississippis. None after that through the day. There's just like, I mean, unless I'm drinking, and I hate drinking water, so I'm like, yeah.
I mean, I can't say the first time in the morning because I get up at 4 and
I know,
pee.
so you're
That's
doing
the
it
first one in the
yeah.
morning, and I'm like asleep during that one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. My daughter definitely also does not. I don't know. She would probably love that game to like count to 10, but she just pees.
yeah.
She just pees a lot, or she doesn't, or she just sits on the potty and
Yeah.
just like I don't know.
And they're still having accidents and
Yes,
that
all
kind
of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I have friends. Most of my friends, their kids are older, so they did not grow up with like the social media and the phones and all of that stuff. But my best friend, who's on this podcast, Jana, her daughter is 14. She probably is the youngest out of all my friends. And I watched her at like 11, 12 when she was like, I want a phone. I mean, of course, right now I'm like, are you kidding me? Why?
Right.
No. But she was like, but that's how I communicate with my friends because they all go to separate schools and they, she has friends in different
How do you
activities.
stay in the social
How do you stay in the social loop? Yeah. Because if you're out, you are out, especially with girls.
Yeah.
I think with boys, it might be a little bit different, but with girls, if you are not in on every joke, every conversation,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Then you're just like out of the group.
Yeah, I remember being in 7th grade and we had a notebook and we'd pass between, me and my 3 girlfriends, we'd pass between periods so that we could just be caught up on what happened last period. So in the last hour, in case we missed something.
That was your like,
That was our cell phone.
it was your cell phone. That was your social media.
Yeah, I think, what do you think because I do agree, like whatever we say our rules are right now will most likely change because every time you say you're going to.
Were like, no screen time.
Yeah, no iPads, eat a dick. Like we're doing.
By the way, I actually was never like, I was never like, no tablets, no iPads, no
Yeah.
TV. I was like, it's time. You're one. Let's do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm a single mom and that is my other parent.
That you have to.
Yes, I don't know
Otherwise, you
how
get
people do
no
it.
reprieve. That's
No,
ridiculous.
nothing.
Then you just go psycho. You have to have something. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the rules that we think we have now are definitely going to change.
Yeah.
But what's really frightening is what's going to happen when it is like when they're not just only on their phone, only on their, technology, but like all of the bullshit that happens that we still as adults, you know what I mean, fall victim to. Like
Oh yeah.
keeping up with trends, the compare and despair, you know what I mean? Like I can't even imagine.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I said what our rule would be right now, what her dad and I agreed on, which would be a flip phone, or basically not a flip phone, but like a non-internet phone
Right.
at age 12.
Not smart, like a
Yeah.
unsmartphone.
Because
a
that's
dumb
the thing. That's the thing that scares me the most is the social media aspect. I have less worry that she's going to be
Yes,
texting people,
right.
and also you have to give it to me at night. You can't be having
Right.
it at like 9 p.m. and staying up till midnight. Because I'm trying to remember, like in high school, I knew that I would be on the phone.
I was on the phone
On the
all
landline.
the time.
Yeah.
On the landline, I had a speaker phone, guys. It was a box that you press a button and you could like it would, it was a speaker.
Ooh,
I know,
okay,
it's pretty big.
fancy.
So I would tell my friends, if you hear one of my parents come in, don't say anything, like don't talk.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom opened the door once and she was like, "Are you asleep?" And I didn't say anything, but my friend on the speakerphone goes, "Yes." I'm like, oh, it wasn't,
Busted.
It wasn't like one of my smarter friends.
Busted.
But yeah, we were talking for hours. Here's the thing, though. I'm just gonna like throw this out there because
Yeah.
my friend, her daughter had a burner phone. She was wondering why her daughter was like falling asleep during the day. Like she takes all of her technology too.
Fucking burn. Sorry, I didn't know if I can cuss on
You
this.
can.
but a
Fuck yeah.
burner.
She got a burner phone specifically just to be up all night.
How old was she?
13.
Oh my God, okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah. So we're sitting here. We have all of these things like, okay, we can do that, but it's all going to change.
Oh, they're all gonna go
Because
rogue.
it's only going to take one friend to be like, you can get this phone from,
That's it.
a store for $40.
And she'll have mine will have older cousins, so
Oh, yeah.
they'll buy her one. Happy birthday.
I mean, it's all of that. I mean, yeah, staying up all night is, I mean, yeah, that's something. But it's the social media that also like scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
What they're going to see on there, what they're going to feel like they're going to have to live up to, the expectations of people.
yeah.
And then also just like the predators.
Yeah. Predators are a big one. I think people have I have a friend whose son does Roblox a lot. And then they just came out with something, I can't remember who wrote the article, but that said that that's like the number one gaming thing. I don't even really know what Roblox is.
I know.
But that's the one where predators can pretend to be a different age, and then they can sneak in and get info and stuff. And I'm like, I don't like that so much because I thought that was a safe platform. And that's the thing is, even if you do have internet on your phone and you put up all the parental codes, I know there's so many ways around that. Or there's people saying, hey, I'm also 12, but they're really 58 and gross, and they're sneaking in. And that's the part where I'm like, if you want to be on social media, can you wait till you're 18? And like somebody said, well, isn't that hypocritical because you're on social media? I was like, no, it's because I'm on social media that I don't want a child on social media.
Right, you're also an adult.
Yeah.
You're also an adult. You can be on
with
social
a fully formed frontal
Exactly.
cortex. So like, I'm like,
And also,
let
you
that
didn't
happen.
grow up with social media. Like, what does that do to their brains?
I don't know, man. It's so scary because, again, like you said, the comparison and stuff, and then trying to keep up with the trends. But it's also like those comments that you get. There's still comments I get. Like somebody said, they called me forehead the other day. They're just like, forehead. They just like with exclamation points. I'm like, that never gets to me. But when they make fun of my eyebrows, sensitive. I don't know why.
Great eyebrows.
Because these are drawn on because I overplucked in my youth. You know, Gwen Stefani. But it's just that thing that happens to make me sensitive.
Right.
And so they know where to hit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, with them, they don't even know that anything's wrong right now.
Of course. My God.
They have no idea.
So does your daughter watch like the shows, the kids shows on YouTube? I don't know if you saw the documentary Bad Influence. It's on Netflix, I believe. And
I'm sure
it's
I've seen
it's one family in particular, and she's still, I think the young girl, she's 18 now. Should have probably looked up her name, and now I can't remember.
Is it The Family?
No, it's and it's not the Ruby Frank one.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
okay.
no. It's another one, and her mom is her manager and created this whole like squad. It was the girl squad.
Yes, I did watch it. Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay, loved
and
it. Yeah.
That to me is so frightening. But like,
I didn't even know who she was until that documentary.
I didn't either, but my daughter watches not that show because that's geared more towards tweens.
Right.
But she watches all of the younger kids, the Vlad and Nikki, Diana and Roma, all of those shows, A for Adelie, which I'm just like, these are like, she's obsessed with them, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I kind of watch her brain melt while she's watching them. It's really
She doesn't watch any of the YouTube ones, but I will say like there is something we've noticed that when she does get iPad for an extended amount of time, like it's almost instantaneous. She's an addict. Like
it does release. It releases the same like serotonin. Like there's a lot of studies
as
about
drugs.
That, is what
yeah.
it's doing.
I mean, it's wild
it's an instant,
to watch.
Yes, gratification. They can change the channel. It's creating a lot of bad things.
Yeah, she didn't have it for like 3 months, and we gave it to her for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And she went, and then we're like, all right, we need it back. And she like had like a 2-year-old meltdown,
Yes.
and she's 5. And I was like, what are we doing?
I had multiple arguments about it. But what I was saying though is like those kids on those shows though, they must be getting comments. I can't even imagine that they're in the spotlight like that.
Yeah.
And even though it's a kid's show, I guarantee you there are comments coming in that are not nice.
Yeah.
I've thought of them. I've been watching it and I was like, oh, so annoying. I would just say that out loud to myself.
Yeah,
so
you wouldn't
annoying.
type it, but
I'm sure some people, a lot of people would type it. And then that little kid, hopefully their parents don't let them see the comments, but they'll eventually see it.
Right. Yeah.
It's really,
even if the parents are managing the accounts, I'm just like, oh God. Any of those things get, and I think like she seems pretty messed up now, the 18-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just got married.
She did?
Yeah, she got married at like 17 in like Vegas or something like that.
Oh my God.
Bitch is already married and I've been single forever. If only I'd had more fucked up childhood. It is, you know what I like to fantasize about? A place where you're off the grid, like internet doesn't exist and you can just raise your family like the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be a great community?
Yeah.
Like a couple cold.
Where I didn't really need to know where she was until like 10 p.m. when we got
No,
that commercial.
you'd be outside playing, and then you
Till
just
the
hear your
streetlight
mom-
comes on.
Yeah, streetlight
That's
comes
it.
on. I mean,
That's it.
seriously, I don't think kids realize how amazing that is.
Yeah.
Definitely not today. But I mean, it's really scary. And again, it's really scary for girls. It makes me really nervous because girls are really, really cruel. And we had an incident recently at school where she was not being nice. Her and her friend were not being nice to another friend, and I was really. It just starts very young, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
I did hear from a lot of my friends that have like middle teens, girls, and they said that it started getting hard earlier. Where like with my sister, I remember I'm like 7 years older than my sister, and I remember they started getting mean in third grade. And I was like, which I don't know, what, 10 or something?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I remember mine started getting mean in fifth grade. So maybe it's like getting younger. And then they said, but for most of them, they have wonderful teenage daughters. I mean, there is always, it's like 50-50, but instead of it being 90% you have shitty teenagers going through puberty, a lot of them are like, they kind of went through it at such an earlier age with the bullying, with the being assholes, and then being disrespectful to your parents, that by the time they got to like 15, 16, they were kind of over it.
I hope so, because I feel like my daughter will not.
Yeah.
I mean, if it is getting like, if it's getting lower and lower, like you know what I mean, younger and younger.
Yeah.
But at like a lower grade, so, she's not even in TK yet. It's going to be like,
wait, how old is she?
She's 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be like 2. Yeah. I mean, I guess when she was 2, she was kind of a dick too, but.
Yeah.
No, she's like such a good girl too. She's so apathetic. She's such a good friend to her friends. It's probably those shows that she watches too.
Yeah.
Because they show a lot of like what you should and shouldn't do. But of course, all kids just glom onto what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So if there's a video of someone being a bully, and then someone else being like, "That's not nice," and you shouldn't be a bully, like she'll say it out loud, like.
But she's like, "Yeah, but that looked fun."
But that looked so much fun, making fun of her. So I want to say I didn't know about your difficult delivery.
Yeah.
What happened?
I talk about it in the special, and I do it's like a 60-second clip that I just posted. And I'm like, I'm going to try to...
In the delivery room?
No. Oh. No, oh my God, no. But I say, I was induced 5 days late. I went through 15 hours of labor, 4.5 hours of pushing. I had a ripped uterus that they had to stitch manually, a second-degree tear. Then I had a postpartum hemorrhage, and 5 weeks later, I was really sick for 5 weeks, and they would not see me because they were like, this is just how it is. This is your first kid. You don't know. And I'm like, I'm still wearing a diaper on week 5. I think something's wrong. And I go in, and they're like, oh, we left placenta in there. So we got to get that out. You're going to die of an infection, emergency surgery. And which is why I didn't have full milk supply, because part of my body still thought I was pregnant. And so I talked about, I gave a clip and I posted it, and there's still so many. And I wanted to take out the word induction when I did it because I knew people feel weird about induction. And to be clear, I also think my induction caused a lot of that.
Right.
However, I know there's many women that have inductions that are fine, but you get the comments again on the internet. There's 10% of women are like, well, that's what you get for having an induction. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's your point in, because I don't want to make other moms feel bad that are going through it. But yeah,
she would never say that to your face.
To your face, ever.
She would never say that to your face.
Ever. That's true.
Also, by the way, it's like when you're you're at a certain point past your pregnancy and you also don't know, but also it's like, we got to get this baby out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was almost a week late, and I was dilated I went to my regular appointment. I was dilated to 3. So I knew she was coming. And that's why I think had I just waited, it probably would have happened. But we did the stress test, and she goes, the baby's heart's skipping a little bit, and it makes us a little nervous.
Yeah.
So let's get the baby out. And I was like, and I trusted my doctor.
Yeah.
And that's all up for whatever. But at the same time, it was it was not a good, and I had a great pregnancy.
Right.
But that delivery was and again, a reason why I think I probably couldn't have another one even if I wanted to. Because it's pretty, they did a scan afterwards, and they're like, yeah, yikes. A lot of mountains, a lot of terrain to get through.
They just left the placenta up there?
Yeah, so I guess when they pulled, that's when I had the postpartum hemorrhage, is when they were pulling it out. something because I had a ripped uterus or whatever. But yeah, it was weird. So here's the weird thing. Like when you deliver, the first thing that comes out of your boobs is colostrum. Once your milk starts to come in, colostrum comes first. It's like the healthiest, supposed to be the
I take
healthiest.
those tablets every day, guys.
Yeah, it's so delicious. And when 5.5 weeks later, when I had the surgery, I developed colostrum all over again. Oh. Like I'd been kind of breastfeeding, but they were like, your body literally thought you were still pregnant this whole time.
Oh my God.
So that's why you couldn't breastfeed the whole time. And I was like, that's crazy. The body's wild. It's insane. But yeah, no, don't recommend that delivery. That was pretty... And there's worse. I've heard worse, too.
No, I know, but when you start out your journey of motherhood with something that traumatic, I think that definitely puts a damper on things.
Oh, yeah.
Emotionally, physically, obviously. I'm not sure if we talked about it, but I've definitely talked about it before. Like, I definitely was thrown into motherhood.
Fast.
Without, like, any warning. Like, you're a mom. And I had nothing and all of those things. And then, but even if I had had 9 months, you still can't prepare for that ultimate life change where your old life is completely gone and this is your new life. Having said that, I wasn't in any physical discomfort. I hadn't just delivered. Nobody, did, a C-section. I didn't have any recovery. My body wasn't recovering, just mentally. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, and you still have like the sleep deprivation.
Yes, I still have that, but I can't imagine having the sleep deprivation while recovering. You had at 5 weeks. Yeah. I don't even know how you did that.
No, and as a single mom, my mom had to fly in.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm like, who's taking care of the baby? Like, it was insane. And I look back, I definitely had like PTSD through that. I think like the last 5 years in LA, I've been white knuckling it, and it started from the delivery. Yeah. But then the single mom aspect, which like I would say the first like 2-3 years, he was around like 10% of the time, ish. And because he was still trying to figure out his place in her life. But that was still more than what you had.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everybody, we're all snowflake. Everybody's like a snowflake story, And so I at least would have breaks. Once he started taking her overnights, which I think was like at 18 months, I was like, okay, I can have 2 days off.
Right.
And I think the first 6 months of those, I was just sleeping. Because you're so tired.
Tired. I thankfully, though, I had to pay for it, but I was gifted 5 nights of a night nurse, and then I was like, this is a game changer. And then I rearranged. I was like, I would rather have her than eat. I was like, where can I pull money from? And it's true, I needed that. And it was such a game changer because I was a better mom, I was a better person, I was a better human, and that was just from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. That was it. And that was enough for me to be like, I just needed sleep.
I will say, you asked me if I'd have another baby. I told my husband, if we did that, we'd have to get at least a month of it. If your parents or you can afford a month of a night nurse, because I'd be in my mid 40s. Yeah. And physically, I'm already like tapped out.
Yeah.
Like
because once you get through that, everything else is like, mental gymnastics and definitely,
right. But also the sleep deprivation. It's a military torture tactic for a reason.
It is.
And that's what kids plus your healing and everything. And they actually say that because men generally need less sleep, they can function on 6-7 hours. Women need like 8 to 10, especially post birth or whatever. And so they should be the ones doing the middle of the nights, and that ain't gonna happen for a lot of people.
Who's telling them to do that?
Telling them
to do that?
Who's gonna do that?
No, honestly, and that was another thing that didn't exist. I'm sure it did, but nobody even talked about it. Like when we were growing up, did you ever hear of like a night nurse?
No, I'm sure like super rich elite people, maybe.
Definitely, but like none of my friends, and I have some friends that have got a lot of money. They didn't even. It wasn't on anyone's radar. That's the thing. They weren't like, oh, let's pay someone to come to our house and sit up with the baby and sleep train them, you know what I mean, so that you can get some rest.
Yeah. And it makes you, like you said, it makes you a better, it's all about support.
Yes.
It makes you a better mom. And it used to be like, also, there's no fucking village anymore.
No.
It takes a village. It does still take a village. It's just not there.
It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
I just was thinking about that too, thinking about moving her to somewhere where it's like the 80s, where there's no Wi-Fi, but there's also like a village, neighbors that I could be like, oh, I need help with this. Like, I don't have that.
I'm really sick. Can somebody take her to school? Like, any of that.
No, none of that. Well, everybody's like, I've got like hot yoga. I can't do that for you. It's really challenging. And I think that's a huge reason why a lot of people are only having one kid, one and done. I mean, growing up, I don't think I knew anyone that was an only child.
Yeah. Are you one?
No.
No. Yeah, I've got 2 siblings. Yeah.
I mean, I am now because my brother.
Actually, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's good. That's the first time somebody's asked me, and I thought of it. I was like, but I'm not because
there were two of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I knew.
No,
any
it wasn't
only
until I was in
children either.
college that I met someone, and it was like, wow, that's
that
so
like?
cool. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, you had everything to yourself.
I'm my parents only, but then they got divorced. My dad had 2 more, but
Right.
they're like, I mean, I consider them.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
But even like being, I guess I was like the only kid for like on my mom's side, but yeah.
It's just, I think people are doing that because it's so expensive.
So expensive, dude.
And there's also, I mean, this is kind of a good thing, but I think a lot of parents nowadays don't want to fuck up their kids. Like, they're very cognizant of like, I think
Yeah.
our parents were like, we're just doing what we're doing.
Oh,
Nobody thought of like therapy down the road, nothing.
I was
And
a
think-
happy hour kid. My mom would take me to happy hour with a coloring book.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's so 80s.
It's so
You know what
80s.
I mean?
Although, no, I have two friends in particular that did that.
That still do it.
I mean, I actually have done it too. I've taken her. I mean, mainly because it
No, I
was
mean
dinner
like
time.
5 nights a week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, but they
I've
should.
done it too,
You know what?
but
They
not
should
5 times a
actually
week.
have a little like play area.
Yeah, and if it was Spain, it's normal. They're like, you have a glass of wine at a park. Like everybody hangs around a park and they all have glasses of wine and
I
stuff.
wish we could do that.
I know.
There'd be a lot of injuries. I feel like there'd be some injuries though. Everybody would be like, "Is that yours or mine?" Whatever. She's fine. Is she bleeding? Can she move that arm? It's okay. I think we should start that here though.
Yeah.
I just feel like I think people nowadays, as much as we put them in front of the screen and all of the things, we are trying to be like better parents so that they're not in a lot of therapy. And it's, I think, more difficult sometimes with more than one. I'm assuming one is really hard. Every
Yeah.
day I'm like, I'm fucking this child up.
Right.
Yeah. I basically,
That's all I think about.
that's all I think about. Yes. When I
Yeah.
told her yesterday, and she didn't want to pee before school. I mean, she had to pee, but she was like thinking it was a game. Like, I want to take my clothes off. I'm gonna take it. And you want me to get? I'm like, just get on the toilet. Let's go. We're late. We're late. Like every minute we're late means it's like a minute from my time. Do you know what I mean? Like from the second you
yes.
drop them off at school, they're eating into our time.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
When she's stalling, so she's stalling and stalling and stalling.
Yeah.
And finally, I was like, I don't care. Pee in your pants. Pee in your pants and sit in your pee all day,
day.
long. And then,
All
of
day.
course,
I'm
she's
not bringing
crying.
machine
She's
to
like,
clothes.
you don't want to pee in my pants. I'm like, well, clearly you do, because you don't want to get on the toilet. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
the other part of my brain that's like, knock it off. Like, you're the adult here. And then the other part of my brain's like, fuck that bitch.
She's cutting into my time.
She's cutting into my time. She's not going to win this argument.
It's so when I was like in the dredges of like the single mom, and I would go to work because then I had to go back because it was like I had her 6 months during the pandemic, so I lost stand up. I lost my 3 writing gigs, only 1 returned, and it wasn't. And of course, it was the least paying one.
Right.
And then there was nothing to produce. Like everything stopped. And so I was like, well, I had enough money saved up for like a year. And then I was like, I'm going to have to go back to fucking bartending. And so I went back to bartending. But what I would have to pay a babysitter to pick her up from daycare, because my shift wasn't over yet, but daycare closed, to bring her back was like, I don't know, $600 a month or $700 a month. And my daughter's bedtime was 7:30, and my shift, sometimes I get home at 7:15. And I remember when you don't have the support and you don't have the bandwidth, I remember I would sit in the garage and wait the 15 minutes because I knew the babysitter would put her to bed.
Done it.
Yeah. And because you don't have any more to give and you're tapped out, and and sometimes I would just go and I'd be in bed by 8. And that's what I would do. And then once I got married and had Matt, who like changed the game, and then her dad started taking her a little bit more, I now rush home.
Right.
Which is different, because that's the thing about like support that I think, like, yes, we should, like when somebody posts that they have a night nurse or they have a postpartum doula or something, and people like post shitty comments, I'm like, you're just jealous. But also it's like, no, that's what it should be.
Yes.
It's like the more support makes you a better parent.
Once I got, my team of sitters and or friends, although I've been really fortunate with the sitters that I've had that love her as much as I do.
Yeah.
And she loves them. And when they're younger, so now she was what, like When did you meet Matt? When did he become like a
2.5?
staple? Okay, yeah. So that 0 to 2.5, I mean, they just need to know that they're loved and wanted
Right.
and that, but they don't remember. Like right now, she's so sad when I go out. That's heartbreaking. She's like, I
Right.
don't want you to do a show.
Oh, it's so brutal,
heartbreaking.
dude.
But when she was like 0 to 2.5, she's like, bye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's so happy, and it's like, let someone else put her to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I need that
Yeah.
time back for me. So
Absolutely.
that I can fill that well up and I'm at capacity.
Yeah.
Or closer to, you know what I mean?
1,000%.
But now, like, yes, if I have an early set and her bedtime's at 8:30, and it's like, like, do I rush home to put her to bed? Now, if I've put her to bed every night of the week, then I'll be like, no, she can put her to bed. I'll get
Right.
home right afterwards.
Yeah.
Then I can watch some TV.
Yeah.
Or if I've been out a lot this week, then I will. I'll make
I'm
it
the
to
same
get
way.
home. Yeah.
I'm the
Last
same
night
way.
I had something and I got home, you know, to put her to bed. And I kind of wished I didn't, but
Yeah.
because then she's all like wired and like running around.
Right.
I'm like, it is your bedtime.
I know, because then if I come home, it's not, your bedtime's no longer 7:30. It's not going to be 8 o'clock.
No, of
because,
course.
Yeah.
So no, I wanted to ask you too because all right, so there are a lot of single moms out there, and then they're dating, and then they meet someone. Like, at what point were you like, now I mean, she was younger, so I think it's almost easier when they're so young to introduce them to someone you're dating compared to like when they actually
Right.
like, are aware. What's
Yeah,
going
I
on.
just talked about this last week. So my situation, again, Matt was the brother of one of my
Right.
best friends for 10 years. So I kind of knew her. I knew the family dynamic a little bit. And then I talked to my therapist because we also have daughters. So you have that thing where it's like, am I going to end up with a pedophile? You know, like you just have to, it's just something you have to have in your mind. And so I talked to my therapist about it, and I go, I would rather have him meet her now when I've already broken up with him 5 times on the phone, because I'm like, we can't do the long distance. And I was still technically a single mom until like year 4 because Matt was long distance. He wasn't living with me. And then he would only fly in when she was on weekends with her dad.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like that was, much support. But so we had them meet. I think we'd been together like a couple months, and he'd flown in town for his sister's birthday. And we just did a big group thing where like a bunch of girlfriends were
Right.
there. His sister was there, and we did ice cream. And I was like, let's just see how they are. And like, I'm watching him like a hawk. I'm like, I'm waiting, and I'm asking his sister, I was like, he like kids? What's going on? And she's like, what? And I was like, I'm serious.
Do you ever see him watching the Disney Channel?
By himself?
By himself?
With
Has
his
he ever
hands
been
down
to
his
Disney
pants?
by
What's going
himself?
on?
Does he just walk around with him? Is he an adult?
Is he a Disney adult?
Is he a Disney adult? I need to know. Is his hand on her shoulder? How close is like what?
How close is it? Yeah. That's what it was. And like that quickly went away. And like, if you know Matt now, it's hilarious because he's built to be a T-ball dad, or like I always call him a boat
So
dad.
he's into young boys, not young
He's in
girls.
young boys.
That's
Yeah,
what he's saying.
that's what it
Okay.
is. Oh, he's going to love this. He's like, please stop talking about it. And then I had 9, we had a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment, and I had 9 cameras.
Did you really?
I did. I was psycho about it. But here's the deal. I also had 2 stepdads. One of them passed away. And I had great experiences with my stepfathers. I obviously think if you didn't, then that's going to, change your opinion on the whole thing. They were so pivotal in my life that I knew I wanted her to have that. And of course now she has 2 great, strong men in her life. So, Matt, that's the other thing. We did just do a dance recital, and Craig is her dad, Matt is my husband, and Craig is 6'2", strapping, and my husband's 5'9", and
with hemorrhoids. Sorry, Matt.
And
I just want to remind everybody.
I am never letting him watch this.
Have hemorrhoids. I just want you to know.
And Everly, out of the mouth of babes, goes, Dada. She goes, Matt, Dada is so strong. Isn't he so strong? She goes, Dada, Matt is not so strong. And they both were laughing, and like Matt, Craig's like, it's not a competition, and Matt's like, all right, you don't have to say it so loud, and they laugh, it's fine.
He's like, it's not a competition, as he's like lifting 4 children at the same time. He's like, we're talking about just throwing them in the air. It's not a competition.
It's not a competition. Laughed so hard. But I'm glad I had them meet then, and they still didn't do, they would still kind of meet here and there, and then they got along swimmingly. Like he was she was just obsessed with him. She was just immediately obsessed with him.
That's really great.
And he's such a hands-on, let's play, let's go. Like, if she's in the house for too long, he's like, we got to go swimming. We got to go ice skating. We got to go, like, she
Right.
can't be in the house too long.
That's what I do.
And I don't have that energy. So I'm like, yeah, take her ice skating. Let's go. And then, of course, I sit there and just watch them ice skate.
Well, no, you are, so I'm you and him at
Yeah.
the same time. So we'll be sitting in the house and I'll be like, all right, babe, we got to get out of this house. We got
Yeah.
to do something.
Yeah.
And then I just sit back down.
You are the perfect combination of us.
I swear to God, I do that all day long. Like, if that is enough time that we have to get up, we have to like move our bodies.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Good night.
And then I'm just like on the phone. I'm like, honey, that's actually more accurate. I'm just on the phone. I'm like, babe, we got to get out of this house.
Yeah.
We got to do something. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, and she's over there. And I'm like, I mean, seriously, this is just not
This is
healthy
not
for
happening.
anyone.
Scroll,
And then it's 5 o'clock. And then I was like, and dinner. Let's do dinner.
Let's do
Let's
dinner
just do dinner. We'll do
instead.
park tomorrow. I mean, I think it's so great. And I love that she has a great relationship with her dad then, right?
Yeah.
That's really,
Yeah.
really important. It's so funny because I just hired a male nanny, a manny, which I'm so happy that I came across him when you know what I mean? Because I was looking, for a new sitter because mine is moving and she's just far away and we love
Yeah.
her and she'll always be our family, but you know
Right.
what I mean? So now this is my new Monday through Friday guy and he's amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had all of the same thoughts that you had, but
Yeah.
I did all of, my due diligence and
Right.
he's just so great. And during their first meet, I was like, I know that she needs that. She's around a lot of amazing, strong women. There's a lot of female energy. And I just, you know what I mean? I don't,
Give her a male perspective.
I really
absolutely.
want her to have some of that in her life so
Yeah.
that when she's like, a teenager, she's like, I need to fuck a guy every night because
Yeah.
I need a man.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe she won't be like that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she's-
We have no idea.
We have no
how
idea.
they're gonna
We have
be.
no idea where they're going to be or who they're
And I
gonna
will
be.
say, like, the cameras that I had, you
Can I
don't have
borrow-
to. You
can I
can
borrow
borrow some. You
all
don't have
9
to
of
do
them?
that. But I had one in the kitchen, dude. Like, there's like, and he was ready to watch her for the first time. This was probably like a month after they met, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go run an errand to the grocery store, so I'll be like 20
And you
minutes.
just stood outside the house?
Yep. And watched it like a CIA operative, just going, okay. And I was ready. And he doesn't, I don't think I've ever told him that. He knew that there were cameras in the house, but he only knew about 3.
Oh my God, where did you even put 9?
Well, 2 were in teddy bears. So they were nanny cams. They were like literal nanny cams. And I was just like, look, because I don't want, you watch Dateline enough and you're like, oh, it's the stepdad. And I'm like, oh.
It's always a stepdad.
Always the stepdad. And so I was like, I mean, if it's not the wife or the husband, it's the stepdad. And so I was like, yeah. So I was just really, I don't know, plus somebody just sent me a podcast where it's like, well, do you know the biggest threat to children is the step parent? And so like they just sent me that while they knew I'd started dating again. And I was like, dang. And I'd also dated a guy before him briefly. And we casually dated for 6 months. And he goes, hey, I think it's time that, I meet your daughter. And all the hair on the back of my neck stood up.
You knew.
And I was like, I don't know what it was.
He's like, because I need to date somebody younger.
Yeah.
So it's about time I meet your daughter.
I met your daughter. She's 2, right?
But soon she'll be 3.
3, and that's And I was just like, yeah, I don't think I want you to meet her. And then we broke up that night because I was like, what's the point of dating if I don't want you to meet? He's like, why don't? And I didn't go into it with him, but I was like, I wasn't like, hey, you're freaking me out right now.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
But it was something that I was like, oh, I felt those senses.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm feeling it because this is early. If this was like 2 years into a relationship, those might be dulled.
I think, again, having a daughter, we're going to struggle with that. And a lot of the, did he touch you or have you been touched?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had a babysitter when I was very little, probably around her age, around 4, that did inappropriately touch me. And they were like a friend of a family. And I remember
Same.
my parents having... I remember a closed door and my mom crying, and they were on the phone with that family. And I was friends. It was one of my school friends, his older brother. And I didn't even know it was wrong. And I told them like, what'd you guys do? And I told them, and they were,
Right.
and then I just remember the crying, and I remember a closed door, and I remember serious conversations. I don't blame my parents for this at all, but I don't remember them coming out, and they might have, saying like, you did nothing wrong, he's just
Right.
not working. I don't even remember what happened. I think it was just like, let's just brush that under the rug.
Right.
I I just remember thinking, oh, I guess that wasn't good. It's such a strange
Right.
thing, but at that time in the 70s, we just didn't talk about it.
Right.
So I think about that for sure. You know what I mean? Not so much with the sitter.
I think it happens to, like, I've got 2 incidents too. And I'm just like, one was my babysitter's daughter,
Oh my God.
which is weird. She was like a year older than me. And then one was a cousin. And I was like, yeah, just even that, I'm like, so no, and they both happened at sleepovers.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh my God, but one was a family. So it's like, it's just to be like, my brain's going to be spinning
I
regardless.
think it's a lot about having just the open
Conversation.
open conversation, making sure that they know that they can say anything. Because we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
We just didn't. And I also had a friend who was a girl who just liked to play pretend marriage, and it was a lot of that like uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she probably didn't know any better either, but I didn't have the voice to be like, I don't like this.
Yeah,
And I also
uncomfortable
didn't- yes,
touching.
It was, yes.
Yeah, that's
uncomfortable
what- yeah,
touching,
same, yeah.
And it's like, you know what I mean? Now I just comfortable touch, but no. It's just all comfortable touching.
Make it uncomfortable.
I'll make it uncomfortable.
I'll make it
though.
uncomfortable
Yeah,
real
okay,
quick.
really quick. But like, I mean, these are all the conversations that we're going to have, and I'm sure there are so many more. And again, I don't know if they're the same. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of the same conversations for boys, but also very different.
Yeah. I think there's also this thing where it's how the parents react. So like you said, you don't remember if your parents said anything. I remember I was in and what's funny is I don't even count this. I said I had 2 incidents and I don't even count this one. We were at a mall and I was with my mom and she had she had a purse, and you know, moms in the 80s, they had a brick in their purse. I mean, their purse weighed 85 pounds.
I mean, mine does too. So, but I forever live in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, look at my hair. By the way, I cut my bangs like 2 days ago, and it's a nightmare. Anyway.
We were at this mall and she was with a girlfriend and we were like going from store to store, and this guy, and I don't know why I remember him looking exactly like Stephen King, but I think he had Stephen King glasses.
Stephen King.
It was Stephen King. And we were at one store and it was a crowded store, and he brushed up against me on my back and I just went, oh, sorry. And I was 8. And then I just kind of looked and my mom clocked it and she just goes, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And I just had a weird feeling. Then we go to the next store. He follows us into the next store and he brushes against me again. And I saw it was him and I like just froze, and then he ran out. And my mom goes, what was that? And I was like, I don't know. And she goes, come here, come with me. So then we go, and those were both kind of busy stores. So then she takes me to like the Swiss Army knife where there's like one person in there, right? And so
she takes you to a knife store.
she takes me to a knife store. She had a good plan going. And so they're there and she's basically using me as a decoy, which, you know, I don't know. And she goes, go look over there. Go look over there. And her and her friend are acting like they're talking, and he comes back in and now turns his hand around like to face my butt.
Right.
And grazes my butt. And my mom takes her purse and beats the shit out of this guy. And until he runs off, and then security gets him, I think. I don't really know what happened after that. But because my mom reacted like that, and she goes, are you okay? He should not have done that. That was very inappropriate. Are you okay? You're safe. I want you to know you're okay. Because she handled it like that, I don't even consider that a traumatic event for me at all. Because I'm like, oh, it was that guy's fault. Like, because my mom handled it that way.
Right.
It's when they don't, like, so if anything were to happen to our kids, they always say it's not the actual trauma, it's how the parents respond to it.
And that's a great bit of advice for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably felt good when he grabbed your butt, right? A little bit?
Yeah, but got a little excited. I like Stephen King books.
I know. I mean, Stephen King grabbed your butt. That's the takeaway, guys. That Stephen King grabbed Nicole's butt. All right, well, I could probably talk to you forever, but tell everybody where to find you.
I'm at Nicole Burch Comedy, or you can get on my podcast at The Funny Thing Is podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the Swiss Army Knife Store.
Yeah, I'll be there.
She'll be there.
Just waiting
for someone to graze him.
Misconnections.
Looking for the woman in the Swiss Army Knife store that are grazed against her body.
In 1989, if that was you.
If that was you and you liked it, but your mom got in the way and tried to break us up. I'm still single. I mean,
oh my God.
I'd probably date that guy.
So great.
We'll put all the links to everything below. Thank you guys for listening. My name is Jodi Miller, and guys, don't call me ma'am. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't forget to subscribe and like so you never miss an episode. See you next time.